What I've done here is I've added some trees to the scene to give it some height and also, you know, make it look like it's part of the countryside. Most of them are the seafoam ones that I made in a previous video, which the link is at the top of the screen now. But this one in the corner here is a Scots Pine, and it's 200mm tall, and it comes from the model tree shop. I just thought I needed a bit of height there to partially hide the changing direction of the backboard, and also the Scots Pine is native to my part of the world, so I thought I'd put that in as well, just to give it a bit of you know, regional connection. The small items here, the picnic table, these are a scalemodelScenery.co.uk item, and you get 6 in a pack, and I made 3 of them up, one for each of the caravans. And you do actually get a little pole with an umbrella as well, but I've got them at the moment in the unused state with the umbrellas down and away. These are just laser board, some rocket card glue. It's what, 15-20 minutes for each one. Done. Impressive little items as well. So my Caravan Park kind of scene is coming together here. I've got a couple more little additions to do, which I'll obviously do in the course of this video, and hopefully we'll manage to finish it off. I'm going to add in a fire hydrant and a standpipe into the caravan area, just purely because of, you know, fires to the statics. The fire appliances have got to get in to connect their hoses up and whatnot to put out the fire. So just a little bit of detail to break up the green area, if you like. What I'm using is these drain and manhole covers from Langley models, and as you can see there, I've painted a yellow one up. I've painted a couple of yellow ones up, and I've cut one from the actual fret, if you like. And what I'm going to do, or what I have done, is I painted it with a Humbrol RC407 yellow. It's an acrylic, it dries quick, get 3 coats on it, no problem. Obviously you've got to prime your brass first. There's obviously the bare brass. I just used an etched brass primer for that. Okay, acid 8 I think it was. Get it out of Halfords. And then I painted it 2 or 3 times, and then I've gone over it now with a very light dusting of Humbrol dark earth weathering powder with a very broad brush. And I've just kind of feathered it across. You can probably see the dirt round about the blue tack area which is holding on to the wood, and you can kind of see that the raised sections, well, hopefully you can see roughly that they've picked up the weathering powders, and it's like dirt, but obviously the paint's worn off those bits because they've been, you know, stood on and whatnot and taken off, so the paint's worn off the kind of top of the dimples. That's been sealed using a matte 49 varnish from Humbrol, a spray varnish, and the acrylic one, just from about 12 inches, a very light spray, and that's it. It just seals it and holds it in place. The fire hydrant I've got from modelrailwayscenery.com. Okay, and you get, obviously you can see the picture, you get a series of different ones that you need for certain scenes. I've chosen to go with the fire hydrant. I've painted 3 up there, and the one at the far right has been weathered with the powder, and you can hopefully see the difference in the yellow. If I put it down there you might be able to see it better against the white. Again, a very light dusting of the earth, and I've just sealed it in place with a very quick misting of the varnish, and I think it just takes the bright yellow off it, because obviously it's been sitting there for some time. They don't get painted that regularly, so they're never really pristine yellow. It's going to be under the tree canopy. You know, it's going to get sap, leaves, you know, the rain dripping on it and all that kind of stuff, so I've just weathered it a wee bit. After that's dry, I've got a small H for fire hydrant cutout that you get with the pack, which is actually on the other side of the pack, and that just gets stuck on with a bit of, you know, rocket card glue or Pritt stick or something, and they'll be added to the layout along with a standpipe, just to add a bit of a little detail. You'll now see I've got the fire hydrant in place, and it's on the left hand side, and just on the ground in front of it is a small square drain cover, if you like, for the fire appliances to plug their hoses into. And at the right hand side I've got a little standpipe just to assist the holiday makers as well with regarding, you know, washing their cars and stuff like that, or filling up their paddling pools and stuff. So I thought I'd add that little scene in there, just make it a bit more useful, not just a fire hydrant on its own. Through a little research I found out that these static caravans are usually powered by gas for their cooking appliances. So what I've done here is I've managed to get my hands on the Bachmann gas canisters, and the caravan on the right there is positioned as if it's in use, i.e. near the cooking appliances. The one on the left is a spare one sitting out the front, or maybe waiting to be picked up by the site contractors. And I've obviously got one round the side for that one as well. Useful little items, just super glued in place. What I've been doing now is adding some fencing into the perimeter of the caravan park, and this is a scale model scenery 4-foot post and wire fencing kit. As you can see, it's got 4 horizontal wires going all the way through the posts, which come pre-drilled. And first of all I drilled a small hole in the baseboard, which is 2mm, then I put the fence in with a bit of epoxy resin, and that's set into the plaster cloth and the foam underneath, and then I took individual wires and fed them through the holes. It's not a job you want to do when you've had a bad day at work, because it requires a bit of patience, and if you tackle this on a bad day you're going to get yourself all tied up. But it looks quite good, I'm quite happy with it. Runs all the way along the perimeter and then into the backboard, which will become overgrown and things. Now I had thought about other types of fences, tall, you know, security fencing, etc. But it kind of hid the caravan park from the other side of the layout, and you know, I did a wee bit of research on line-side fencing, and whilst more modern situations arise with the higher fencing in the 80s and whatnot, wire fencing was more prominent in the photos I saw anyway. So it was a kind of trade-off between what looked best and what was, you know, accurate. I could have done both, but I'd said to use this fencing here, as it just tended to set the scene off a bit better. By the time I get the bushes and stuff between the fence and the railway, it would deter anyone from wandering onto the line anyway. I'm now going to add some of the bushes and scenic material to the embankment from this end of the caravan park right the way along to the other. As you can see, what I'm doing now is I'm adding some of the fine leaf foliage from Woodland Scenics to the fence area, just to give the impression of nature being a wee bit more unkept on the embankment side of the fence. And it kind of ties in with the scenery on the right hand side of the rail as you look at it. Down at the very bottom left of the screen there, I've found almost a little sapling tree in the fine leaf foliage pack, so I've just trimmed it up a little bit, and it's just sitting there on the embankment just now, which will flow into the trees in the Caravan Park area. As you can see there at the corner of the gravel area, I've added some waste bins from, you know, the 1980s, 1990s style. They're not wheelie bins. These just add another bit of everyday furniture to the scene, and I think it just complements the rest of the stuff, including the gas cylinders there. A small detail I've added over the fence from the Caravan Park is this abandoned rusty bike. This is a scale model scenery item, and what I did is I built it up, and I've got a video that I'll link to the top of the screen now as to how I went about making these bikes. And I painted it red, and then I really gave it a rusty kind of weathered look, like it'd been dumped over the bushes and left just to, you know, disintegrate and rust away. I chopped the front wheel off and turned it at a slight angle, as you could probably maybe just make out there. It looked like obviously it's been abandoned. It's not just lying flat, it's lying with its wheel at an angle. And I turned the handlebars to suit the angle of the wheel. Just stuck it in there, a wee bit of super glue, and it fits nicely into the scene. The final bit of detail that I'm adding to the Caravan Park is the steps at the door of the caravan. As you can see there, they've got a grey top to them, and two N-shaped, if you like, nickel legs attached to each end of the plastic card, which I've then painted grey. And there's one per caravan, and they're fiddly wee things, and it just allows a step from the ground kind of halfway and then up to the lip of the door of the caravan. That was an idea that somebody requested, if you like, on one of my previous videos, and I thought that's quite a good idea. I'll add that in. You can also see the car, the Cavalier. If I zoom out a little bit more, you'll see behind the caravan there a light blue estate Volvo, which kind of puts it into the 80s period. That's really it on the Caravan Park now. The unpainted back scene behind the trees there, that will be getting painted white very shortly in preparation for the next series of back scenes, which will run from that corner right the way behind the TMD to the other end of the layout to complete the kind of fourth side, if you like. I'm working on that just now as to what kind of back scene I want. Obviously I'll try and get it to blend in with this area at the very start, but because it's hidden by trees to the most extent, I'll have to see what I can come up with. If you watched my September update too, you'll have seen that I'd had a walked up factory here. While that was a good idea, I was a bit concerned about the covering up of the the back scene, especially if it's got some detail of houses and whatnot on it. So I kind of just by chance added in this Bachman house under construction, this bungalow, and I thought, well, it's actually quite good. So I plotted out a couple more on the scene. So I've got, at the right hand side I've got a bungalow, in the middle I'll have another bungalow under construction, and at the far left I'll have a 2-storey house under construction. And at the very corner beside the level crossing and where that black taxi's parked, that could be the site office with porta cabins and you know, plant equipment and machinery and bits of building equipment. Obviously you'll see the back of the houses, and you'll have to kind of assume and imagine that off scene into the back scene will eventually become the access roads and the front gardens and whatever, but this is obviously an early house scheme, if you like, under construction to add on to the houses at the back. Maybe the second phase in the contractor's development plans. And it'll all be fenced off with security fencing and the usual undergrowth and bushes and stuff, just to give it the appearance that the site's just been cleared and the houses are starting to go up. So that's an update on an update, and no doubt next month I'll have changed my mind again and there'll be some other idea in the pot. That really is it for the Caravan Park diorama series. I hope you enjoyed all 4 parts and how the area was planned and slowly put together and built up to complete the scene as you can see in front of you now. I do take on suggestions that you add to the comment section of the videos. For example, the steps to the caravans were a suggestion, so I do listen to these comments and take them on board and use them if I think I can. Another example of that is the houses that I've just gone over earlier in the video. That was due to a couple of comments regarding the look of the factories, so I went back to the drawing board on that and had another look, and my layout's taking a different direction now, so it's invaluable, the comments that you give me. Hope you enjoyed everything so far, and I'll look forward to doing the next video. Cheers!